Hello and welcome into the SorareAndrews podcast, brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. I am Andrew Laird from Sorare Data. You can find me on Sorare as Lairdinho, joined as always by Andy Black, who you can find as Black on Sorare. Apologies that we were a little delayed today, but for all of you who were trying to get your DFS stuff in, that's where you were getting it. So hopefully good luck to all those who are tomorrow. But we are not here to talk about DFS. We're here to talk about Sorare. Andy, somebody mentioned in the chat that because we were late, maybe the next boom actually isn't coming anymore.
The boom is off.
It's off.
Yeah. No more boom.
See you next week.
Yep. That's it. That's the podcast.
That's the podcast right there. No. So there were a few things that we wanted to discuss specifically about this, whether another boom is coming. Firstly, do you think another boom is coming like now-ish?
I think we're already in one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because there's one person spending all the money, or is it because a lot of people are spending some money?
I think it's both of those things,
Yeah.
but one person is definitely helping the cause there.
What's funny to me is that we talked to a few people who would be considered whales easily, and even they're like, this is nuts. Like this is so much money. But obviously for those, I feel weird talking about somebody that we don't know like so specifically, but
yeah.
But I can't avoid it because everybody seems to be talking about it. But this I don't even know how you say it. A bottle bore. Like, how are you saying it?
A bottle bore.
All right. So a bottle bore, whoever this is, currently has a Sorare Data roster valuation of just shy of 270 ETH, which is a little over $1 million. And
wait, you said 270 ETH?
270 ETH.
Okay. And by the way, he just bought another TAA.
So it's wild. So 270 ETH, it's 121 rare cards. Was the TAA a rare card?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give them 122 rare cards, 91 super rares, and 10 uniques.
You forgot one more card.
What was the other?
He has one limited.
Oh, and one limited. You're right. I assume the limited was the joining referral card.
I think so. It was 11 days ago, and it has a little gift box next to it. So, and he got a Kim Dong Bum. So there you go.
Props to whoever got that as a referral, unless it's an affiliate. And if it's an affiliate link, that's probably all the affiliates you need.
Yeah.
After this.
It's crazy.
So, yeah. So some people were pointing out, I'm just going to bring this up on the stream. Apologies to those who are listening because you won't be able to see this, but it's basically just the Sorare Data chart of the owners of N blockchain cards that everybody's familiar with. And the way that it's moved recently, let me see if I can, there we go. So we've described this, like we can't even call it a hockey stick because it's like even greater than that, but it's like not really slowing down. We're at, I think we hit, do we get to 65,000? My mouse is not 64,038 as of today for one card. It's kind of crazy to see that there's almost 25,000 people with 10. Like that seems like a lot of people.
So we've had this conversation before, and I know Surface has brought it up a couple of times. So
yeah.
I'll shout him out if he's in chat, but which one of those stats is the most important, do you think? 150, 25? Which one?
I don't know. Like, I think you can make an argument for any of them. The difference between 1 and 2 seems a little funny to me. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why you would stop at 2, but
my brother-in-law falls in the category of 1 card. He bought a card about a month ago and was just like, he didn't know what to do, and he just got kind of like lost and just ended up not doing anything else, which is probably good because he bought a limited card for like $60 and it's worth like 30 now. He bought a bad card. I was looking at it on Thanksgiving, and I was like, "Man, what were you doing?" He's like, "I don't know. I just bought one."
I just bought one. I mean, there are plenty of people who just buy 5 to get the referral reward, which I think they do a poor job of explaining that that card is not like a lottery. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's getting like a great card. I will say that I got a referral reward the other day and it was a rare card, which was funny because like everywhere says it's limited. And this is the second rare card that I've gotten since they said they're all limited.
Are you sure that it wasn't from like Mega or like a So Rare Data League or something?
I don't think any of those give away rare cards. And to be honest, I'm not that good enough to,
Oh,
to win cards from those
that's fair.
anyway. It was definitely a referral reward. Like it brought me to Sorare. I clicked on the little box and yeah, it was a rare card that I have since sold. But yeah, I don't know what the number is. Quinny here in chat is saying it's 5 and 10 are the ones he looks at.
I think
Sam
it's
thinks it's
25
10.
because there's no going back from there. Like, that's the point of no return. Once you hit 25, you're in.
Well, so what I thought was like I think one was important for a while, and the reason why, and I was reminded of this because I was watching some of Simply Alex's videos, like his older ones. Like I hadn't seen the older ones, so I was like, oh, let me go back and see. And he started back when you could play. I mean, we all remember this. You could play one rare card in the rookie league. Back when it was called the rookie league, and you could only play so often.
That's a good
point. It was like there was a benefit to buying one because you could use one in the rookie league and you could captain it. So it was like the one card, it was like, all right, you're taking the rookie league a little more seriously. But then like, it's really like, I almost wish we had 4 because like you don't need 5 to play, what do we call it now? All-star rare for the threshold. Like most people who are like grinding ETH don't buy a rare goalie, and they shouldn't. Like, as long as commons are allowed there, like that's what you should use. So I don't know, 5 or more. Like I wonder what the difference is between 4 or more and 5 or more. I'll have to.
Could we get a feature request for a chart that has maybe a limited version and a rare version, and then like a total version of this?
Oh, this is the total version,
right? But like a limited version or a rare version would be interesting to see. Because it would be interesting to see like are rares growing at the same pace or rate as say limiteds. My guess would be no, but
my guess would be like it's not remotely close, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, Sam.
That'll be behind a paywall soon, Sam.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So you think 10 is the point of no return?
No, 25.
Oh. So you think you could own 24 cards and still be like, I don't know if I'm in yet.
Okay, maybe not. It's somewhere between 10 and 25, though. I think you can get to 10 and then be like, this isn't for me. But I think once you're at 25, you're pretty well down the path.
So we're close to hitting 10,000 people with 25 cards.
Yeah.
Is that a lot? It seems like a lot.
I don't know. It still does not seem like a lot.
So 10, let's see, 1, 2, 5. 10 is this smaller one here, right? That doesn't seem to add up. But that doesn't seem to be growing as quickly. The one card seems to be the fastest, which seems obvious, but there's that. But just number of people who own at least one card is not it. We got to look at this auction volume, and then I actually prefer the secondary market.
Why do you prefer the secondary market here?
I just feel like it gives a better indication of like people who like, maybe I'm wrong because the limited, like it seems like every player has a limited auction every day, but it just seems like if you, I could continue to want to look at like rares and super rares basically. And it just seems like the secondary market is just has much more volume. And so that's what I want to look at. Maybe that's just stupid though. I don't know. So the auctions seem pretty high. Yeah,
the auction is, what is that? It's like really consistently between maybe like 80, 90 ETH and 160 or so. I don't know.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we're at 81 here. August 167. There's this wonderful spike. Where did we get there? October?
That's probably when PSG got released or something.
380 in one day. My gosh.
Yeah, or I'm just trying to think of dates that probably are on PSG, or it could have been one of the whole leagues too. Like when those whole entire leagues dropped.
Yeah.
There's probably good spikes.
Yeah. So I'm going to address this Vespasian. 10,000 is not a lot for a global fantasy football game, but it's quite a lot for a global fantasy football game built on the blockchain using ETH as its currency. I think 10,000 for that many. I mean, it's not 10,000 users. Like 10,000 is the 25 or more. Like you're well into the game. I would say now I'm like actually putting it down. I think the 5 cards is like actual users, 40,000 or so.
Yeah.
Like that's people who can play other than the casual league. Sam, why do you think the auction and volume graphs are useless?
I think so. I don't know that the blockchain stuff is important. I mean, they've made it to where it's pretty seamless and hidden in the weeds. I get that like there's some obscurities with it, but like you for instance kind of came in knowing nothing about the Ethereum blockchain or how to use it, and you figured out how to get cards, and I don't know. It's certainly a road.
If I could figure it out anyway.
It's a bit of a roadblock, but I mean, I don't think that it's. I don't know. I think this stuff's just getting to be more and more mainstream, and I don't want to like put that as a qualifier on it anymore.
I actually don't know if it's getting more mainstream or they're just getting better at making it seem like you could play without worrying about crypto.
Crypto is certainly getting more mainstream.
Oh, that I agree with, but I'm saying like I don't know, like the entire like onboarding and the ability to buy with a credit card, like you could theoretically never think about ETH,
right,
and probably be okay. Like you'll it helps you understand like why prices and fiat move a little more, but I don't know. I think it seems to me that every day that goes by, Sorare tries to, I don't want to say like distance themselves, but like they try to not focus on Ethereum as much as they have in the past.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And I want to say, I just saw Harry Trades came into the chat here. Harry, I was watching some of your videos earlier today. So good, nice work there as well. So Sam I like this point that, so it doesn't normalize for ETH value, which that I don't know if I even care about, but it's the amount per user, and that we can care about. Like a bottle bore is probably the equivalent of lots of users, but it's only one person. And if he or she decides, you know what, this is not for me, then that chart looks a little different, I think.
I think what really, it's really weird because it's almost exponential too. Because when he comes in and spends 280 ETH, that means it's 280 ETH back into users' pockets that they can start spending, and you really get that exponential effect where those people start spending then.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because the one thing I noticed is how much is spent on the secondary market as opposed to auctions.
Yeah.
So that's right. Like lots of Sorare managers have made a lot of money selling cards to this one other manager.
Yeah.
Like 288 ETH spent on manager offers.
And I mean, if we do the math here, you said that his gallery was worth about 270 ish. And I mean, the values on Sorare data may not be.
Yeah, the uniques
perfect,
get a little wonky.
But he spent, 350 ETH?
Yeah. That's so much money.
I mean, I know he's overpaid for some things, but I think for the most part, I don't know.
Did you get any offers?
Oh, I did, and I messed up. I don't think I've told you about this.
No. I know you got an offer.
I got an offer from a bottle for Barco. And Barco is actually a really cool card for me. Sam and Chet, him and I kind of exchanged cards for Christmas last year, and I got the better end of that one. He gave me Barco, and I gave him Brian Lozano. Brian Lozano, I should say. And you know, I definitely got the better end of that one. So I felt weird like selling it, first of all. But so he sent me an offer of 0.35 or something. I think it was 0.35. And immediately I was like, I'm not selling this card. I'm going to just keep it. So I immediately declined the offer and didn't even look at Sorare data. But like 15 minutes later, I pulled up Sorare data and I just looked up Barco. And he was sitting there on the secondary market for like 0.26 or 25 or something. I could have sold the card and then bought back from the secondary market and pocketed, I don't know, 0.1 ETH or something. So I felt like a failure after that. I was like, please send another offer, Avon.
Yeah, please, never mind. No, I'm just kidding. Click the wrong button. Quinny saying he came after his Barco super rare, which I can't fathom. Knowing how Quinny protects his cards and knowing how much he likes Barco, I have to imagine it would have taken 10 ETH to get it from him.
Yeah, Barco is one of those scary guys, though, that's probably going to move this winter.
You think?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
And maybe he doesn't, but I think that there's some fear associated with him that he will. And if he does, I doubt he's going to go to a league that he crushes as hard as the MLS.
Yeah, well, nobody crushes like MLS crushes. So yeah, nothing makes you feel like you might have one good card than when you get an offer from a bottle war, because everyone, like, I'm in a few Discords and people with much better cards than me, they're like, oh, I got a, whatever offer for whatever great card. And I'm like, oh, and then I saw the email that I got an offer and I was like, oh, what could this be? You know what I was hoping was?
What's that?
2 ETH for João Felix. It wasn't, though.
Yeah.
He bought 0 João Felix cards.
That's crazy.
No.
Or like, you just see on his account that he bought a Alphonso Davies. Like he bought one, and then you're like, all right, here we go. I better list mine.
Well, so yeah, that's the thing, is that they have been buying multiples of these cards, and like the 5 Remy Cabela super rares. I think it was super rares. And
somebody was complaining about his account the other day, and I'm like, hey man, he took 5 out of play. He took 5 Cabela's out of play and didn't use any of them last game week. And he scored 100. Cabela scored 100. Didn't use a single one of them.
Jeez. I did think it was a little not that I don't do this myself in some places, but it just seemed to me, it was like it almost seemed like the plan was to run the same lineup in as many places as possible.
Kind of, yeah.
And maybe when you have $1 million, like you can play around with that. But I don't know. It just seemed like if I had that much money, I feel like I would spread it out a little more. But
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe just buy the guys with the best L5. And that's why he hasn't come after any of my guys, because all my guys are running bad right now. Like Davies, if you look at his L5, it's horrible.
Oh, I know.
Maybe not horrible, but it's bad. Or below 50, I think.
It's bad.
Then,
yeah.
Like Noah Lang's, his L50. No. Like I was just looking through my guys and I'm like, man, there's no L5s that he's going to be really, really interested in. Maybe an MLS guy or something, but made me sad.
Well, it's funny because I wasn't tracking completely like what they were buying, but MLS was obviously started later. So I got an offer for my Rusnak Super Rare, which for those watching is, let me see, there we go, right there. And that card is more important to me from like an SO5 perspective than I think any other card in my gallery.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, it would take a lot for me to sell that card. So I'm not selling it for like a reasonable amount, but that was okay because there were unreasonable amounts being sold to build this gallery.
What did he buy his Rusnaks for?
1 ETH.
Yeah.
And I actually talked to somebody else who had one, and they were like, have you seen that he's bought a few? And it was like, okay. So he offered me 0.7. He or she offered me 0.7. And I was like, there's no way I'm selling for 0.7. That might be the right price, but like, that's not enough like for me to give up and have to like replace it. And so,
I mean, he's got 1 game left.
But like all of next season, like I'm not going to get a super rare that gave me that much production, and hopefully does next year, for what I paid for it.
For what you
Or
paid
what I
for.
would get. Like 0.7, I don't think I'm getting Rusnak production. And apparently nobody else felt that way, which is why they bought 3 of them at 1 ETH and bought the one that was on auction for like 1.3.
Yeah.
But I was talking to somebody and they were like, I have this offer. I'm staring at it, but they feel the same way about the card that I do. Like, it was a very important card for our lineups. And it was just like, I could really do a lot with 1 ETH. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know, but I could do a lot. And I'm like, that's my problem, is that like I was so unprepared to consider an offer, because like I didn't have a plan of what would I do if I had this injection of ETH.
Gotcha.
And I still don't think 1 ETH would have been enough for me to get rid of it, but getting an extra ETH is kind of fun to have.
Yeah.
But I do like your point that you see they buy one and you're like, oh, let me post them. So I bought mine at 0.185 and I posted it for 1.85. Didn't sell.
Trying to 10x.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wrap back to our previous conversation. We were talking about the secondary market and the primary market, which one was more important. And I think that I kind of cut you off and didn't really get into too far about why you think secondary market is more important.
I think the only reason I think that is because it's easier for people to get exactly what they want. And so it's like, if I want a card now, I can go to the secondary market and I can go buy it. And if you're waiting for auctions, then it's almost like the auction volume chart is almost like more indicative of just the cards that happen to be auctioned at that time, and not, not a reflection of the user base or whatever. Like if you have that huge spike and you're like, oh, wow, auctions are really up. And it's like, well, there was the Mbappe unique and the Ronaldo unique and something else. And it's like, oh, well, that's why it's high, not because we have all these users who are buying cards. Whereas in the secondary market, cards are always there. So if you want one, you can just go get it.
Yeah. It's funny because like I used to think probably differently on this, because like the auctions were more of like the place you go and find the quote unquote deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can still find maybe some deals out on auctions, but typically now like their auctions are selling at whatever the market rate is. And partially because of how like helpful Sorare data is, and it identifies like for people, what the going rate for a particular card or scarcity is.
Yep.
But then also like, I think with this, I think with the secondary market, you get a bit of like, I don't know, like you said, people buying what they want, but also like that's kind of the going rate as well, because people are undercutting each other all the way down to whatever that auction volume or auction price is. And I think that it ends up just being like the secondary market is also kind of the market rate now. And
Mm-hmm.
It didn't used to be that way. The secondary market was where people tried to rip you off. And they would put...
I mean, there's still plenty of that now.
There is, but I think, you go look up most players and you go look up just like any random player and you go pull up Sorare data on another screen, and the low bid or the low price is probably going to be pretty close to the 3-week average or the 1-week average, especially on players that have a lot of supply.
Right. Well, yeah. I think the issue, I mean, you're still just at the mercy of when they auction the card you want. Like, there are a lot of cards I want right now, but they're like not showing up in auction. So I'm just forced to go to the secondary market.
Yeah. By the way, I just realized something. You kind of have Rusnak Mickey Mouse ears going on back there.
Yeah. Those are my 2 Rusnaks. That's a Jersey Mint, actually, that limited.
The limited is?
Sure is.
It's going to be worth millions one day.
Millions.
Yeah. It's like a Honus Wagner.
Daniel Cooper saying that we can get good deals on Legends cards on auctions.
I wish I would have just waited.
Yeah,
we all knew it was going to take them forever to come out with whatever game mode. So,
somebody
patience.
brought that up today in the Discord.
That's what Quinny and I talked about the other day. Patience. I was not patient on limiteds, or not limiteds. Legends.
We just didn't know.
Yeah,
we still don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'll go buy the ones that I don't have.
I was going to sell mine the other day. I only have one, and I'm like, it doesn't feel like I need it.
Yeah.
And I bought it at first because it was like, oh, I just want to be ready. And still ready anytime.
I just hate that they're selling so many of them and there's no clarity. Like, can I play a limited in one of these tournaments? Or are they going to have some that, you can use only rares, super rares and uniques? Are they going to have some that you can't use the limiteds in? Like, would be great to know some of these things.
It's for a game, for a market that is so dependent on SO5, it is a little weird.
Yeah.
And so, like, some people are going to look really smart or really dumb. Like, I don't think there's any way that we don't. And I don't know.
JSB, his comment there, I think, is a good point. Like, for rares and probably limiteds too, that it's hard to find any deals at all. But we do see some super rares kind of squeak through, good deals on super rares, and honestly, probably uniques too. Like, there was that Delate card that somebody scooped up for under 0.5 a few weeks back. But yeah, I think auctions, every once in a while you'll see like a super rare go for something ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I feel like and Sam brought this up actually. He said auctions are sometimes where you have to go when no one will deal a specific card you're looking for.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I feel like good super rares, as soon as they hit the auctions, everyone just goes, and that's purely a scarcity thing. There are just so few of them that unless you're willing to overpay, you're probably not getting the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is still so backwards to me because, like, well, I don't want to get into it, but the prizes that you can win with those super rares, unless you're talking about D3, the D2 stuff's still so bad to where, like, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't be as expensive as they are. But it doesn't matter. Whatever we're willing to pay, That's the rate.
That's the rate, yeah. I think they'd be, whatever. Yeah, that's the rate.
Yeah.
I think I made the comment.
Wait, you were gonna say something. You think that they're underpriced right now because of that?
Legends?
No, super rares.
Oh, no, just the opposite. I think for good super rares, at least, like, I think the gap between like average rares and excellent rares is much smaller than average super rares and elite super rares.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I don't know. Sam's apparently winning everything great in D2 though. So.
Yeah, we know Sam. You win everything.
I want Sam's gallery. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
We all want Sam's gallery.
Yeah.
So, are we booming?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think. I think the boom, like this idea of a boom, is purely like a huge explosion in users and everybody spending money. And I mean, looking at those charts, like, you can't. It would literally have to be like a straight line up,
like March, like Gary V.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it's that. And
I think that was specifically kind of what Evaldo talked about with us, multiple times when he came on here, where there wasn't enough supply to handle the number of users that had come in, and I think that we're getting, probably similar growth numbers as far as like bodies, humans that are purchasing cards, but they're able to supply it now because they got all these limiteds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the limiteds are throwing off the charts, basically.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I'll go back to what Sam said. Like the cost or ETH spent per user is probably way down from whenever that was, February, March. And I think the other problem is that the only way to really recognize a boom is after. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. We also haven't really seen people memeing into cards like they did with Zhao and Mbappe, where they were going for like 20 ETH, or Felix for like 8. And even I remember like McKinney. At one point, McKinney was over 1 ETH.
For
It was
rare.
like, I can't believe I didn't sell that.
Yeah, I remember wanting one. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was like 1 ETH? What?
But I guess we do see it a little bit. Like Gio Reyna, he's like around an ETH. I mean, totally different thing, but I guess not really. Gio's not even playing right now. He's just returned to training, I think, today.
Yeah. I think he'll boom soon.
I don't think he can. Like, can he boom more?
I don't know. I haven't looked at where Gio is.
Oh, I'm looking at him. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I assume his prices are down because he's been out, or they just have limited this, or they've cut the supply, not cut it, but they haven't released enough cards, which I assume they have not. Like he hasn't been in the rewards pool. I'm guessing they're not auctioning that many of them because he's been hurt.
They've auctioned 9 of them so far, and they've been like, well, he had one go for 1.3 on November 4th, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, and now they're back up to 0.83, and that was yesterday. So,
what are his limiteds?
I think what we have to remember too during all this, like the whole discussion of are we booming or are we not booming, we got to remember that ETH is like $4,500, $4,600 right now. So like ETH is it basically an all-time high, and these charts are at an all-time high at the same time, which is pretty crazy. But like, I don't know, just like historically looking at Gio's scores, it's like, I don't know if you're talking just from and I get he's 18 years old, but just from a SO5 perspective, I don't know. It's not like a guy that you're going to be able to plug in every week and expect great things. It's more of a collector card right now.
Like a legend?
Yeah, sure. No. But I mean, with the hope that in 1 to 2 years, he becomes somebody that's just crushing.
I mean, at those prices.
What's that?
At those prices, he better be crushing.
Yeah.
How far along are they on the limiteds?
Great question. 97 is on auction right now. But his limiteds, the gap between his limited prices and so this is something that I saw yesterday, and it's insane. The gap between his limited prices and his rare prices is just stupid. You can go get his limited for 0.05.
That sounds fun.
But it's going to cost you 0.85 probably for his rare.
Right.
Like that's over 10x. That's like almost 20x. Do we see that? Are we seeing that elsewhere?
Yeah, you could have his 96 of 1,000 right now for 0.06.
Yeah.
Is that actually higher than he's been? What was this last?
Yeah, I mean, like his 3-day average is 0.055. Yeah. The one that's on auction right now is at 0.059, which I'm seeing a lot of that where people go in and they just bid super early on something that they want.
Yep.
And they'll do it right below whatever the lowest on the secondary is, and it's like, all right, if you want to outbid me, you got to pay more than the secondary. I've been seeing a lot of that.
I think it's really sharp, but yeah. So I was bidding on a card the other day, and it was the Yaroslav Rakitsky super rare. And there was one on the market for 0.4, and I had a bid in at 0.318 for the auction. Next bid, 0.44. like already over the secondary.
That's crazy.
Even crazier, the person selling was like, yeah, I would take 0.35. And I'm just like,
Wait, so that person sold it for 0.35.
I think they sold it for more, actually.
Oh, okay.
I started waffling and he was like, oh, I'll go somewhere else. And he thankfully sold the card.
Oh, so you were talking to this person?
Yes.
Okay.
It was one of those where I was waiting for them to be like, well, the auction's now at 0.44, so that's the price. But like, I think the card was on the market at 0.4 and was not selling. And then all of a sudden this auction comes and I'm just like, I don't know why it bothered me other than the fact that I didn't end up with the card at all.
Yeah, the like strategic bids that I see more often than not are like that next bid would come in at like 0.385 to where that next bid over that would go over 0.4. And,
exactly.
Like that would make more sense than just, but also too, like you see it with a lot of like the players like Griezmann and Timo and whoever else that are out there buying cards. They'll just, if they want a guy, they'll just be like, all right, I'm not staying up for that auction. I'll just bid 3 ETH and win it.
Somebody sold, was it Dembele? I think it was Dembele sold a Szymanski super rare the other day for like way below market price.
Really?
And it was like, oh, he must have like just messed up. And he sold it for basically like a tiny ETH profit.
Huh.
Which I still didn't justify it. I think it was around 0.65 that he bought it. And let's say he sold it for like 0.66. But like the market rate was like 2.3, like it was so much higher. I would have
if you go look at his 3-day average, it's like just below 0.7. And then his 1 month average is 1.3.
Yeah. And the lowest on the market is probably 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to look at.
Yeah, it's yeah. But no, I don't think we're booming. I don't think it's coming either. I think this is just we can't, like, Sorare can't possibly grow this fast forever. But once you get to a certain number, like, you don't need to grow this fast. But aren't we at
we'll just have to agree to disagree on this.
Yeah. I thought we were at like 80,000 rookie league lineups. It seems like a lot of people.
Does Sorare data have that information on rookie league? No.
Yeah.
Where do you see that at? Oh, you have to go into Sorare. Yeah.
I went to Sorare and scrolled through all 80. No, it's it's somewhere on there.
They put it at the bottom, like the training lineup button.
Oh.
I told somebody, I think I told you or somebody else yesterday, I was like, I want to record myself setting training lineups and then just send it to Sorare and be like, fix this.
It's it's a process. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Casual league. Does this tell me how many people? There are 1,456 pages I could scroll through. So the last 72,790.
Wow. That's this current game week or the previous one?
That was last weekend, like this past weekend. 72,000. Seems like a lot.
Yeah, I think that is a lot. I do think, though, that like since everybody can play it, that number is obviously going to be a lot higher. Like a lot higher than what we were seeing in the past.
Right.
Like, do you set casual league lineups?
I do.
Yeah.
I forgot 2 weeks in a row, and I was furious at myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's a free common card.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it too.
It's the only way I'm getting Memphis.
What's that?
It's the only way I'm getting Memphis.
Yeah. From the sheer fact that, like, if they do something in the weekly where you can use a common card, I'll be prepared.
I think those days are over.
You think so?
Yeah.
What am I going to be able to do with my common cards then? Just all-star D4 or limited eventually, maybe?
You can win more common cards.
Well, they're kind of ugly to look at in your gallery,
My problem is that I've stopped winning regular cards. And so when I go to my team, it's just like all white cards. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Get out
or
of
you've
here.
sold them.
I would love to sell them.
No. You sold the other cards that you might have won, and then you
I've
just
been
have
trying to.
the commons left.
Yeah. If anybody wants an Eric Holt limited card, hit me up.
That's funny. Daniel Cooper said he won a Salah common this morning, and he's happier about that than the rare he won.
I did. Me too.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I. Oh yeah, it was that Hendrik von Cumbridge, whatever the hell his name is.
I won a common this morning. Stefan Ortega Moreno. He's a starting goalkeeper somewhere.
Oh.
For I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't pronounce it.
My star tier limited was HVC, and I was more excited about my common Dennis Undav.
Undav, who we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, if his rare card is 1.3,
yeah, what would his common be worth?
How much is his common worth?
I think they should let us. They should go back and put all of the commons on the blockchain, and then just be like, you can't buy them off the auction market, but you can resell them if you want, and just see what happens.
I mean, I love that idea.
I think
the very next day they're like, oh, and you can't use them in D4 anymore.
Yeah.
Or rare. That's going to be a day when they finally say that you can't do that. I mean, it has to happen, right?
I guess. I don't know. I've got a really important question for you that is totally on topic.
Okay.
Who's your favorite whale? I've been thinking about this question for a long time. So.
Oh, wow. Like who? Huh. Like whose gallery would I want?
However you want. Who's your favorite whale?
Just I can define it however I want?
Yeah. Best looking.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a good question. Do you know your answer?
I think I do.
Oh, you do? I don't know. I really like Zora. Sam doesn't think he's a whale, but I really like Sam's gallery. Feels very whaley.
He's a whale.
Yeah, he's a whale? All right.
Yeah. There's different levels of whales, certainly.
Yeah. I like a Bottlebor's spending habits.
Yeah.
As a whale.
For sure.
So that's fun. That's funny. I've never thought of it this way. Who are my favorites?
I think Karupu's my favorite.
I thought you might go there.
Yeah. Just because he's kind of like a black hole that just sucks in all these cards. You can't use all of them. So they go there, and he helps maintain high market values. And probably new users probably hate him because it's like he pushes up the prices on all this stuff. But
not really. Like you're not pushing prices up for anything but uniques, right?
I guess he probably buys super rares too, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Probably premium super rares. I really haven't seen him in the rare market, but does he even own a limited?
I don't know. I would be shocked. Like just straight up shocked. And almost offended.
Yeah, he does.
Why? Oh, some Legends? No, why would he own Legends?
No, he bought an AC Milan bundle, or 2 AC Milan bundles. I guess he wanted to buy Zlatan. He just seems like a cool dude. Like I don't know, like partially he just wants to collect these things. I don't know. He's out there collecting that Beeple that was like I don't know, whatever he bought that for, some ridiculous amount.
69 million.
There's a documentary out there on him.
Yeah.
I watched it a while back.
Me too.
He started from he was just like a working class guy, and I think he bought Bitcoin super early, and he was just like every paycheck he would just buy more Bitcoin, and now he's just like a billionaire, I guess.
Now he has a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and NFTs. Lots of JPEGs.
Lots of JPEGs.
Yeah.
Some that move.
What's that?
Some that move.
Yeah, some that move. The newest one that he bought is it's like I guess it refreshes He gets new art on it.
Oh,
I think.
that's
my
fun.
understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
That's fun.
I'm not
I
deep in
don't.
the art world.
Yeah, I don't look at enough whale galleries to like have a favorite.
Yeah.
I
You don't see like one of them win and you're like, good for him.
No.
No.
Although I will say that there are some. So I was looking at a card recently, like days ago, and I noticed Karupu had 4 of them, and none of them had ever won a prize.
Really?
So I assumed that they were never used.
Okay.
But like I knew there was no way I was getting it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of frustrating. Because I will say that there are whales who are willing to sell cards, a lot of them are, at market price basically, and sometimes at below market price. They'll set the new market low. Like I bought cards from AJ and Mark, and they're perfectly reasonable. Like when you're a whale and you get like cards that I could buy, they're like, sure, you just pay market price or even a little below and we'll get rid of it. Sure. Like it's a win-win. And so like, I appreciate that more than somebody who just hoards everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Karupu has earned 11.85 ETH on the secondary market.
I'm surprised it's that high, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of am too.
If you told me it was from one unique, I'd believe you. Like,
oh, sold public listings 1. Can I click into that? No. It would be fun to see what that was.
1.
But that doesn't include direct offers. But he's only sold one public listing.
Well, let's see. SO5 stats, 621 rewards, 605 kept.
So he has sold some things.
111 ETH earned. God. Total rewards, current valuation, 284.
Spent on auctions, 1,565 ETH. Spent on manager offers, 64 ETH. But it's funny because A Bottle Boar has already spent more on manager offers than Karupu ever has.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that right? 64 and 286 for A Bottle Boar. Come on, Karupu. Show us some
Karupu's got a
love.
1,600 ETH gallery, so $3 million.
Yeah, maybe my favorite should be A Bottle Boar because he spent more on the secondary.
Right.
They're
making us rich.
Yeah. Not Sorare.
Because not us. We turned down the offers, but
right. Other people that are going to eventually buy our cards. It's a trickle down economy, right?
Let's hope so. So I noticed Pavel was not on your list there.
Yeah.
Do you even consider Pavel a whale?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He's the most cards on the entire platform.
But are they good?
I think that a lot of his cards, I've said this before, I think a lot of his cards turn good. Like it's a guy that sucks now or he's blew up an ACL and then everybody dumps that card to Pile Trader. We see that a lot. Like I think who just blew out their ACL and then he ended up with a bunch of their cards?
I know Gabriel Arias did. But that's certainly because
You can usually tell
he's probably got a ton of Molinos.
You can usually tell who has a ACL injury by just checking Pile Trader's gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you need to check for injuries or anything, just look at his recent acquisitions.
Oh, Sam's saying he's winning recently. It's funny you say that, Sam, because I looked at literally last weekend, like not this past game week, but I think the one before, and he like wasn't remotely close with any lineup. But maybe I was I looked at the outlier.
Who, Powell or Karupu?
Yeah, Pavel.
Okay.
Like looking at the lineups that go out from Pavel Trader, it's like it's everything you would expect. Like any good card that he has, like people go right for it. Like that's how I feel. Like I'm in Discords where people are like, "Oh, Pavel's got a good bought something good. Let's go get him." And those are obviously cards that people want to use in
Let's
SO5.
pull all of our junk together and send it to him.
Right. I don't know.
But I think that he's been like reasonable to deal with. I think a lot of people do trades and stuff with him, and like well, besides you, a lot of a lot of people are friendly with him, and they do trades back and forth with him. And I think that he's a reasonable guy that serves a really important purpose in this game.
So I was able to send an offer on a specific card yesterday of his.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go to his, or actually I didn't even try to go to this page and trade, but I was able to put an offer in. I don't know if because the last time I tried that, it was like, you are blocked. And there was no notification today or yesterday.
Go send him an offer right now. Let's see if you're still blocked. I'm thinking he might have unblocked you because I
didn't think you could.
No, I think you can now, right?
Oh,
no?
Can you?
I thought that was part of the new My Sorare experience. You could maybe not. It would be awfully stupid if you couldn't unblock somebody.
You know, it's gonna be funny when I send him such a ridiculously low offer that he blocks me.
And he blocks you.
All right, let me see here. Make offer. The worst part is I don't even really want this card anymore. Okay. This is riveting podcasting. Oh, your offer has been sent.
Looks like you've been unblocked. Maybe he was listening to our stream and he was like felt so bad about it that he contacted Sorare and had you unblocked.
I don't think there's any other explanation. Sam's now admitting that his lineups are terrible. My guess is he doesn't care.
Yeah, just looks at that L5, chucks him in there, and hopes for the best.
I still love that he only follows two people, and it's Antoine Griezmann and John Nellis. Nellis reminds me of it every week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, follow-up question to my previous question of who your favorite whale was.
I'm going to come back next week with like a very detailed explanation of why someone is my favorite.
Very good. Very good. Who's your least favorite whale?
My least favorite whale.
This is the whale bashing segment of the show. So if you're a whale and you don't want to see other whales get bashed, you may want to just like mute us or turn it off.
What's funny is I don't want to like give away too much of how hard we prepare for this podcast, but we did have an entire conversation about talking about whales. Like we were going to have a whole whale talk about why we think they're important. And we were just going to burn the podcast to the ground by going down on that ship. But now that we can talk about the ones that we hate the most.
Yeah.
I see the problem is that like I know some of them. I mean, as much as you can know somebody from talking to them in Discord for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something that rubs me the wrong way about somebody literally calling their team name. I don't sell players below the price I set. I don't swap cards. Like, I get it that they probably get so many crappy offers that they're like, all right, I'm just going to put this out there.
Right.
And this is it. But so like that's Zima Blue. And I'm looking at the top managers list here. Yeah, I can just pull this up. So the top managers list. Oh no, there's a different screen. Hold on. So not only has Zima Blue saying like, I'll never, and true to his word, he does not. But then we've got Dream Villain here. All players are sellable at the right price.
Yeah, like that's so
much.
It's so welcoming.
Yeah,
friendly.
Yeah. Impalvo. I can swap all cards if you make a good offer.
That's right.
Which by the way, the offer is only good in one direction. It's like if I can screw you, you can have this card that you want.
Right.
Which all fairness works for everybody except me because I can't make these trade offers. But
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, this is basically what I consider the whale list. These are the top valued lineups.
I think it goes a lot further than this.
Well, so somebody brought that up to me because I believe a bottle bore is in the top 30 now,
Oh wow, only top 30, huh?
and it's been 2 weeks. I bet this page won't even load now. Oh, there we go. 26,
Okay.
and on the heels of Fantasy Teller.
There's some names on here that I did not know about.
So it's funny you say that because who was I talking about the other day?
The one I would say is Dodo.
There are two of them.
21. Never seen him on. Like I've never really even seen him on the platform.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently there are two of them though. So who knows?
Huh.
That's another. I don't sell it below the price I set. But
Oh, yeah,
I forget
yeah,
who
yeah.
on this list I was talking about the other day. But I was talking to Sean PSU, who's number 32 on that list, and I said I was looking for a card from somebody. I wonder who it was. And I was like, "Have you ever spoken to whoever this was?" And he's like, "I have no idea who that is." I was like, "Oh, they have like a 250th gallery. I mean, it's got to be someone here. I can't remember who it was though." And he was like, "No, I don't know who that is." And it's like funny to be able to have that much of a gallery value and have people be like, "I've never seen that name before."
Yeah.
I did read a Twitter thread from Black Flag, who's number 20 on this list, about getting into limiteds, and it was interesting because he or she admitted that they like bought at the peak basically.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I'm underwater on these, but I'm going to try to win cards, so that's it. And then Mark, You Never Walk Alone, was like, "Can you tell me about more?" And I'm like, "Hey, get out of here. We don't want you here. Go play your whale games. Just go away."
Wait, so what was Mark asking?
Like how much time he used, how much time it took to like get his to do all the research to which limited cards to buy.
Yeah.
And we do all the research, and it was just like, please don't start asking. Like one of the best things is when somebody has a gallery, Mark's. I mean, he's got to be, yeah, fourth on the list with no limiteds. I'm just like, just stay out, please. That was just me.
Yeah, I think that we're at a point now where how many D5, like you tweeted out the other day, how many D5 lineups were out there, or not D5 limited lineups were out there?
It was more than, it was like 15 and change, I think. Like
Yeah.
it has recently crossed All-Star D4.
Yeah,
Or
and
sorry, All-Star
obviously it's just going to keep running away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think one whale entering limited division is just like a blip. Like he's not going to affect that game at all. It's not like
Agreed.
even like the super rare game where like he comes in. I don't know if you saw the lineup that he tweeted this morning.
It was like, ridiculous.
He was like, I would play this in super rare division, but the prizes aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And it was like his Holland super rare.
It was Haaland,
Mbappe super rare, which was a limited edition super rare too, if I remember correctly.
Which one?
The Mbappe.
Oh.
Because it was the one with like the red streaks on it or whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Haaland, Mbappe, TAA. I think it was a TAA unique.
Yeah.
Diogo Costa, and I can't remember who the midfielder
was. It Donnarumma super rare maybe?
No, it was definitely Costa.
Costa.
Yeah, I can't remember who the midfielder. Whatever it was a sickening lineup.
Right.
And my response to him of like which cards to buy, I was like, just buy your cards, but the yellow ones. Like just do that.
Right.
All right.
Oh,
I like this question here from Alan. What percentage of Sorare's appeal do you think is gambling? How many Sorare managers are people who are used to spending significant amount of money on betting and fantasy? I love this question.
So, there's a last week tonight on DFS from like 10 years ago that I'm sure you're familiar with, Laird, and probably a lot of your community listeners are aware of, and I'm sure it got a lot of laughs and whatnot back then. But there's a funny quote in there from Joe Namath where he's like, "Oh, so people spend money on this and they can win stuff, then it's gambling."
It's gambling.
I think that you can beat all around the bush that you want. I think you can use technicalities to say it's not gambling, and you're probably right, and you might be able to legally uphold that and defend that. I mean, personally, like just like real talk, it's gambling. No, not for you.
I think it's much closer to. I don't want to use the word investing because I don't think it's investing either.
Yeah.
But I think the market is closer to invest like stock market investing than it is
Speculation.
What's that?
Like speculation.
Right. Yes. It's more that than I think true gambling, like true like betting on sports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that I went through the whole like, is this gambling with DFS? And there are some states that are like in the US, like some say, yes, it's gambling and therefore we don't allow it. And others were like, no, it's not gambling, so go nuts. Or some say it is gambling and we allow gambling too, so it's okay.
Right.
And so like we can't even come to a consensus on it. But the fundamental difference is that at least in Sorare and in DFS, we're competing against each other. Like I don't need to beat a book. I need to beat you.
Right.
And I think that
But you don't even need to beat me.
Well, yeah.
You could just not beat me ever and never, you're not losing anything. And if you get frustrated that you can't beat me, then you just sell your gallery and you might even make money.
Yeah, I think the argument at some point is like if something happens and all of the, and Sorare ceases to exist and all of our cards are worth nothing, like did we gamble away that? I don't know.
No, we have all these collectibles. They're collectibles, Laird.
I mean, that's the argument, absolutely. But like fundamentally, I don't want to like. I actually think it's further away from gambling than you do. I guess.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. To roll back what I said a little bit, like I think there is I think it's a technicality. I think that it is like letter of the law. It's not. Like if you got two lawyers in a room and they battled this out, I think Sorare wins out and it's not gambling. But I think that it's a really, really interesting question. And I think that at some point this is gonna get like this is gonna have to get hashed out. And there's gonna be whether it's a court case somewhere, but there's going to be something that happens and we're going to have to go through. I think Evaldo kind of said it. There's going to be a little pain at some point and we're going to have to navigate through it and things might change a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if it ever gets to a point where it's like, because like courts don't really do this, but the equivalent of like somebody says this is gambling. And you're like, all right, well, how do we make it so it's not? And the answer is like, I don't know.
Question: who determines, like here in the United States, who determines in each state that it is or isn't? Is it the gambling authorities, like the commissions?
Yeah, like each individual states.
It's funny that they get to determine.
It's just, well, they didn't used to. It used to be federal, and then that got struck down. But
yeah,
I don't know. I want to address Alan's question because I think it's are people coming here because it could be gambling? Like there are people who are like, I want to gamble.
Yeah.
So let me go play Sorare. Like there are plenty of people I know who gamble a lot of money on sports and love Sorare because it kind of feels that way. It almost feels like you have a little more control because, you can control what you buy. You can't control what happens on the field, but like ultimately, you can buy something and based on what happens on the field, you can sell it or you can win stuff from it. That doesn't exist. So I think there is some of that. And there are definitely people who play DFS that like, I personally know that we're like, oh, I knew you from DFS. We talk about DFS and now you're playing this other game. How is it, is it the same? It's not the same, but there are some similarities and it's basically like, I need to spend money and I can make money with it. But like, you can do that with a lot of things that are not gambling.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I think I think the thing that I love most is just the fact that I can play fantasy sports and win things and not like at the end of the week, um, like last week, looking at all my red squares, you know, and Sorare data, it was sad. It was just like but at the end of the day, like okay, on to the next game week. Like somebody, Duncan, I think is a listener. He DM'd me and he was like, "How'd you do this week?" And I was like, "Not great, but on to the next week." Like I'm setting lineups for next week, and we just move on. Like we move forward. Zora posted a pretty cool tweet today of like his 50 lineups or whatever that he entered.
Yeah.
I don't think a single prize.
He hit the threshold.
He hit the threshold. Yeah, and it's just like, what are you gonna do? On to the next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
I would love to buy his gallery.
And it's not like I lost, rent money or anything. I'm just on to the next game week.
But I think you're a little more responsible. Like I think there are people who, well, maybe not with Sorare because, like, yeah, it's easier to say on to the next week.
I'm not responsible with Sorare.
No. I think it's more that there are. Maybe it's just that like the pain of not winning is stretched out because you're like, oh, I can just play again.
Right. I thought you were going to take another dig at some of the cards that I buy.
No, not at all. No, I'm in no position to make fun of you for cards that you buy. I bought a card because a guy was holding a soccer ball and one guy putting his thumbs up. So like,
this guy,
yeah, that guy's been crushing by the way lately. I think his last two scores are like 75 and 80.
Yeah,
he didn't stiff my lineups.
You've seen the guy that's doing this, right? Just got the two thumbs up, holding by his side.
I had like multiple people be like, "You need to buy this card," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm that guy now." Like, people have to reach out to me.
Yeah, hey man, he's holding his thumbs up. You gotta buy him.
Yeah, you gotta buy him. And then isn't somebody pointing to their chest or something, to their crest?
Yeah. Well, have you seen the Kenny Step one?
Oh, is that where he's like this?
Yeah, he's got the gloves up.
Yeah, that's a good card.
Yeah.
I mean, like a good picture. It's a terrible card for SO5, but so I was saying, to me, most people are there to wager they can play the game better than others. Very few there to collect anything beside cards that are cool because of how useful they are in the game. I think that makes sense. Like there's definitely a level of competitiveness to it. Obviously, like again, we're competing against each other. Like beating 5,000 people or 14,000 people now, like that gives you a nice little confidence boost. Whereas like winning on a $50 bet from a sports book, probably you're just like, oh, great, more money to bet.
Right.
I don't know. Sam says he loves Sorare but hates traditional gambling.
Yeah, I'm not real big. I'll mess around, but I'm not real big into traditional gambling. And I think, I don't know that like the crossover between people that play fantasy sports and like to like do traditional gambling. You might know a little bit more about that than me. Just like, are people interested in both of those things?
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of people who I know who play DFS every day and are on Sorare. I mean, Sean is one of them that we've had on. PSU fans too. Like, DFS is still a big part of what he does, and so.
But is Sean into traditional gambling?
That I don't know.
Like betting on a game, like.
I don't know. Sean bets on himself as much as he can.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean that positively. Like I think anything that he can affect, I think he's willing to put his money down on it.
Right.
But yeah, there's a book called The Logic of Sports Betting. I had to look it up. And it's like it's a really good book if you're interested in all about like how lines are made and where all of the numbers come from. And there's only two reactions you can have after reading this book. It's like one of like, I can do this. I'm going to go start betting on sports, or like, I'm not even going to try. And I ended up closer, just like, I should just find something else to do. Like sports betting just became legal in Connecticut. And when I was like still at RotoWire doing DFS content, it was like, I knew that sports betting was going to come up and I had like a big interest in sports betting, and Sorare just completely replaced it for me.
Right.
Like the more I got into Sorare, I was like, the draw of like sports betting just like went away. And now I basically just put in random anytime goal scorer odd bets when I bench guys in my Sorare lineups to make myself feel better.
So who's that going to be this midweek? Just so I know.
I didn't have enough cards to bench anybody this midweek.
No. Is it Jesper Carlson?
Oh, I played Carlson.
You played Carlson.
Oh, I didn't play. Yeah, okay. I didn't play Nicola Ravella.
Perfect.
And Sambi Lakanga.
Betting the farm tomorrow on Ravella.
Yeah.
Ravella. I think they're playing against AC Milan. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep. Betting the whole farm.
Yeah.
He's probably got good odds as an anytime goal scorer in that game.
I mean, good odds in terms of you will make a lot of money.
Yes, because he's definitely scoring goal.
Because let's see, check out my local sports book here. AC Milan. It's I think it's Juventus, which is even worse.
They played today.
Oh, then maybe it's not. Who does he play? Now I gotta look it up. Where is it? Oh, it is Milan. You're right. Sorry. I was looking at next week. All right. Player props. This is going to be so bad.
That's good to hear, Daniel.
He's plus 1,400 to score.
Okay.
Plus 4,000.
For goal.
First 4,000 to be the first goal scorer.
Oof.
Can you find somewhere where you can parlay that with like both teams to score? Yes, and to buy some uniques after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a funny thing. It's like, is Sorare gambling? You're, no, I do Sorare instead of gambling.
So I don't have
actually true, but like
yeah. Well, it's so time consuming. It's like you can't do anything else. Like you can't really you can't do much else effectively, or at least I can't because I'm like working and then this, and it's just like there's no way I can really do much else effectively. I know like there's a lot of guys that play like DFS at a really high level and play Sorare at the same time. And it's like, man, that's just so many hours of the day.
They can't sleep. No, what's funny though, and maybe we'll do a different podcast on this, but for as little as I actually bet on games, I look at odds all the time.
Yeah.
For Sorare.
Right.
Like part of it is that Logic of Sports Betting book, because it basically explains the quick part is that lines are set by one bookmaker in somewhere in the Caribbean. And then like extremely sharp extremely sharp bettors basically bet the lines to the right number.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, oh, well, the bookmakers just want equal money on both sides. And it's like, no. They actually like take bets in early to find out where the people who are really, really good at sports betting, where they are, and they go there.
Yeah.
And so when I'm like looking at making my lineups, like I trust the sportsbook odds. Like I'm like, oh, so-and-so should be a favorite. And if I go and they're like not that big of a favorite or they're not a favorite at all, I trust that a lot more than my own donkey.
There was one I talked to you about, not to continue going down this dark path of like not being on topic at all and being totally into the gambling weeds, but it was a midweek game. And I looked at the odds and I was like, hey, could this be right? And I sent it over to you.
It was, wasn't it Torino Empoli?
Yeah.
Empoli.
Because I think Empoli is higher in the table. Like
yes, they are.
They're like 7th, and who are they playing? Genoa?
Torino.
Yeah,
you were like
9th.
Empoli, yeah, there was like 7 and 9, and Torino's minus 130.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is in European odds. Sorry, people.
Yeah, but they're big favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, because but like that's what I look at when I
get there like at home, I think too, and it's just like, but like it's bigger favorites than I was thinking, and but apparently somebody knows something that I don't, because I was going to play one of the Empoli players, I think Penamati or something, and it's just like maybe I don't want to play him. I ended up not playing him.
Yeah,
I wimped out.
Yeah, we were talking about that. But yeah, that's odds. Just give me a better concept. Like I don't know teams well enough in Belgium and Holland and Japan to like say I should play this guy because he has a good matchup. Yeah. I just use the sportsbook odds.
I can in like a lot of the leagues, but like Eredivisie on weekend, unless it's like Ajax or PSV or top teams. But You know, the other thing that I'll like do a quick check on as well is just like where are they at in the table? Like, oh, it's 4th on the table against a 16th on the table. Like, okay, that gives you a pretty good idea of what the outcome is going to be. But odds are like the cheat code, I feel like, and
Yeah.
you know, RotoWire's where I usually just go real quick to look at those.
Yep, it's pretty easy.
Javier, that's a good point. Like ramp not working here in the US. I've always used Coinbase. I know that it's not like the favorite of a lot of people because of either fees or just like they're kind of like the big name, but I think that they're pretty reliable and easy to use. I think that you've in the past used your like a credit or debit card a few times just to buy a card, and then that kind of gets you into the game. And you know, I don't know. That'd be, I guess, a weird way of like doing it. You could buy a card and then sell that card for ETH. I think there's enough liquidity in the market to do it.
That's exactly what I did early on to get ETH. Was I bought cards, on a credit like debit card, and then if I sold one, then you get the ETH that way.
Yeah, and
there's not the easiest.
If you buy it on the primary, is there no fees?
No fees on the primary, unless your bank charges them. Like check with your bank first.
Right.
But
I wonder if
no fees the first time.
I wonder if a lot of people are kind of using that as a loophole to just buy ETH without fees. But I guess cashing out, it probably not.
I think it's that's how I started, and I bought ETH once to deposit on Sorare, and I did it through Coinbase also.
Yeah.
And you walked me through it, and the 1 hour where it was in between.
You're sweating.
It's the worst feeling. I was like, I'll never do this again. Yeah. But yeah, good luck, Javier, on that one. That's how we do it. Yeah. All right. We've gone off topic enough that I think we could just call it quits here. The answer is maybe the boom's coming, and I'll come back with my favorite whale next week.
I'm still surprised you answered who your least favorite was.
Was that how I have to answer my least favorite?
I'm happy not to answer that question.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that'll be next week. You have to answer your favorite, and I'll answer my least favorite.
Yeah, there we go. I like that. Yeah, perfect. All right, this has been the SorareAndrews podcast, brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. We'll be back next week with our favorite and least favorite whales. But also, if there are any topics you'd like us to discuss, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. You can find me at Andrew M. Laird. You can find Andy at ABlack86. Also available in the Sorare Discord, probably with similar names. So just find us that way. Andy, good stuff, and I'll talk to you next week.